Hi, hello. I'm, I guess, back to make another YouTube video. First off, apologize if I'm like squinting. It's super sunny. I have to film outside because lighting in my house sucks. So I'm out here, but basically, I just wanted to do like a YouTube video about, I guess, taking a gap year, a year off before college to travel, which is what I'm doing. And I just kind of wanted to talk about like how I decided to do that, what I'm doing, and yeah, I guess that's it. So I'm gonna start with the fact that if you know me, you might know that I lived in Spain my junior year. For 9 months, I lived out in Spain. And the way that that happened was when I was 15, I was in 10th grade, these people gave us a presentation on SYA, which is School Year Abroad. They have programs in Italy, France, China, and Spain. So when I got this presentation, I immediately was interested. I mean, number one, I loved speaking Spanish. I really did. It was like my favorite class at school, besides bio. But I don't know, it just had always been one of my favorite subjects. Came very naturally for me because like I come from a family of people who speak Spanish. I've heard a lot of it in my life, and so I like always tried really hard at it at school because it was something that was special to me. So that was like the first reason why it interested me, because I could like really expand my Spanish skills, I guess, and live in a country where that was like the first language. Also, I was really not having a good time in high school. Like my 10th grade year was definitely the worst because I was dealing with like all the aftermath of the shit that happened my 9th grade year. But I don't know, it's like another story. Everyone has a shitty high school experience to tell. But basically, my 10th grade year, I was not doing so well. And the idea of being able to leave school for an entire year and meet completely new people, be in a completely new setting, and also just like the fact that like you live in Spain for a year, like who, like that sounds cool to everyone, right? So I was like encouraged by my Spanish teacher, my favorite, to do SYA. So I ended up asking my parents finally. And even though it took a lot to convince them, because I was 15 asking them if I could live abroad without them, without anyone I knew. So it was a big deal, and it took kind of a lot to convince them and a lot to like get me over there because the program was really expensive. Yeah, but I ended up getting a scholarship, which is really great. I ended up, getting financial aid, which is also really great. So I got over there. Yay! And I spent 9 months in Spain, in Zaragoza. It's a city not a lot of people know, but that's where I lived. And I went to school with other American kids from high schools all around the US. There were like 65 of us, all going to school together, all living with host families. All of our classes were in Spanish. We weren't allowed to speak English at school unless we were in English or math. Like inside of those classes, we were allowed to speak English. But other than that, all of our classes were in Spanish. If we were like out in the sala, like the common room, we had to speak Spanish with each other, and if teachers caught us, they would like get mad at us. It was kind of a weird experience though, because like we were Americans, so like we're used to speaking to each other in English because that's both of our first languages. But it was honestly like a really interesting experience. I got to travel a lot. I got like around Spain. I got to stay in hostels. I got to learn how to like take trains and travel independently because we didn't have adults with us. Long story short, it was a really, really great experience and probably the most impactful, life-changing experience of my life, which like sounds cliche, but I mean, obviously, like I was 16 living alone in a different country. Like how is that not going to be the most impactful experience of your life? So it was awesome. I really enjoyed it. And I got back to Albuquerque the summer before my senior year and went right back into my friend group, went right back into my family, got ready for senior year. Everything was pretty great, honestly. I didn't really have a hard time adjusting, which I was worried about, but I didn't have a hard time. It was pretty nice. And then college process started. Basically the process of all of us applying for college, writing essays, applying for scholarships, figuring out where we want to go to school. Because at my high school, that's very much a given. Everyone goes to college. Everyone takes it really seriously. That's just how my high school is. Or was, I guess. I didn't realize it at the time, but as I was going through my college process, I really didn't put a lot of effort into it. I didn't really care that much about writing the essays. I didn't care about researching the schools. I don't know, I just didn't care. And I couldn't figure out why I didn't care, because I'd always like worked really hard in school. Like, it was something I took pride in. A lot of that did shift, like, when I spent my junior year away from my high school, because the focus wasn't really on academics, honestly. Like, we were still in high school, we were juniors, we had to go to school, but the focus was more on, like, experiencing Spain, which was honestly great, but it kind of, like, fucked with my identity a little bit, because I didn't really have that same focus towards school as I always had. So when I got back, it was, I mean, I bounced right back to like getting homework done and focusing on school. As far as like my actual classes that I was going to and getting in my homework and getting in, you know, studying for tests and things like that, I was pretty focused, as I'd always been. But I couldn't figure out why I just did not care about college. Like, I wasn't excited about it. And I guess excited is not the right word, because I don't think anyone was really like excited to be writing essays. We were all kind of dying of stress the fall and like winter of senior year. In the back of my mind, I knew I would be fine, because I didn't really care about it. That's kind of how I am in most situations, but like really with applying to colleges, I just did not care. Drove my parents crazy. It kind of drove me crazy too, but I just didn't care. So then decisions come around, and you know, everyone's excited getting decisions, sad getting decisions, whatever. It's, you know, how it goes. And I just remember being super like apathetic. I looked at all my options and I was kind of like, I could go here, I could go here, I could go there, like, whatever. Like, not like I like got into all these schools, but just like out of the schools I got into, I was like, yeah, whatever. And I was kind of disappointed. Like, I don't know. I realized that I hadn't put a lot of time into researching these schools, because I had really no idea what I wanted in a college. And when I was looking at all my options, I just realized I was not ready. I hadn't processed my junior year at all. I hadn't processed the fact that I'd really changed and like really grown as a person a lot. I kind of just went right back into my life, which was fine, but I wish I had given myself more time to think. But everything happens for a reason, and the reason is that like I get to take a gap year and do something that makes me happy. But yeah, that's kind of what happened. Is I didn't really like self-reflect enough, I guess, or really just take the time to acknowledge like, hey, I've changed a lot. Like, what I want in life is different than before I left my high school. I don't know if any of this is making any sense, but yeah, that's just kind of how I was feeling. And when I thought about going to college and like sitting down in classes and doing homework and studying for tests every day at places that I didn't really care about that much, it made my skin crawl. Not that I don't enjoy school, because like honestly, as fucking nerdy as it sounds, I do enjoy school. I really love learning. I love like sitting in a classroom and learning new things, which is why when I didn't feel that way, it was really new for me and really horrible, and I didn't know what the hell was going on. But yeah, like I said, it made my skin crawl, like to think about going to orientation and going to a new, like, I just wasn't ready. And I took some time to think about it, finally, and I was like, well, shit, I need to take a gap year. I need some time. I just need some time where I'm not in the world of school and where I figure some shit out about myself. So yeah, that's what happened. I asked my parents, and they were actually pretty understanding, which is great. Honestly, that's just who they are as parents. They're pretty understanding. But it, you know, I think it was also like attributed to the fact that when I was 15, I had to like go through this whole process of being like, please let me do this, please let me do this, please let me do this, wearing them down, like being really determined to make it happen. And then by the time this year came around, they had already like lived without me in the house. They had already seen me travel abroad. They'd already known that I've, you know, like been able to manage myself out in the real world, kind of. It's like a pseudo real world, you know, like we still had some guidance, but it was definitely more independence than I had at home. But I don't know, like at that point my parents knew and know now that a big part of my identity is traveling and doing things that aren't on the traditional path. That's kind of just how I am and what I like to do. So it, you know, like obviously there were some logistical questions, like, okay, what are you going to be doing on your gap year? What are you going to do after your gap year? How are you going to pay for it? You know, like, are you going to go to college? Things like that. So I also was really lucky to have a college counselor who took a gap year. Like, he took a gap year before he went to college. And so he really understood where I was coming from, why I wanted to take one, and he has been like really helpful in helping me plan it and figure out how to apply for colleges after. And when decision day came around, when all of us had to decide where we were going to college on May 1st, I made the for sure decision, I'm taking a gap year. I didn't enroll anywhere. I didn't, what's it called? Oh my God. Defer. Oh my God. Defer. I didn't enroll anywhere and defer. I just haven't enrolled anywhere, which means I'm going to have to reapply to a couple of the schools that I'd already gotten into and apply to some new ones because now I know a lot more about what I want. But yeah, so then came the part where I had to start planning my gap year. You know, didn't really start like solidifying it until after I graduated high school, like in May. But once I graduated, I kind of sat down and looked for programs that would let me travel and do things similar to what I had done my junior year, but also that weren't expensive because I don't have that kind of money and my family doesn't have that kind of money to pay for some of the like gap year programs. So I kind of looked for programs that would let me. The program I ended up finding was called Plan My Gap Year, and it basically, like, you pay a pretty, like, small, not small, I don't know, it's like around $1,000, and you volunteer with them. They pay for your room and board, and you have to take care of flights and your spending money. So Plan My Gap Year, like, the program is literally just called Plan My Gap Year. And it really interested me because it had projects in a bunch of different places, and the ones that interested me the most, the ones that I'm going on, are the ones that are in Ecuador and Costa Rica. So I'm going to be in Ecuador for 2 months volunteering at a hospital with Plan My Gap Year, and then I'm going to be in Costa Rica for 1 month volunteering at a child care facility, also with that same program, Plan My Gap Year. I'm just plugging them a lot. You're welcome, Plan My Gap Year. Essentially, I paid for the program fee. My parents are helping me with the flights, and I'm paying for like most of my spending money and getting a little bit of help from my parents, maybe when I need to, although I really do not like asking them consistently for money, so hopefully I won't really have to do that. But yeah, so like I said, I'm going to be volunteering at a hospital in Ecuador. I'm going to be living in Quito, in the capital, the biggest city there. You stay at a volunteer house. It's actually like a volunteer apartment with all of the other like volunteers of the program. They're from all around the world, different ages. I honestly have no idea who I'm going to be living with, other than the fact that in my own personal living space it'll be girls only, which is nice. But like I don't know where they're going to be from, don't know how old they're going to be. I'm assuming most of them are going to be like around my age, but I really have no idea. I have no idea where, like, what the place I'm living at looks like. I don't know exactly what I'm going to be doing there either, because like what they had told me, what they say in the program, is that like your involvement kind of is based on your level of Spanish, how much enthusiasm you have, how much you like put yourself out there, and things like that. So I'm not really sure exactly what I'm going to be doing in the hospital, but basically you're volunteering there Monday through Friday, 7:30 a.m. to 12:30, and then after that you have the rest of the day to just live your life, explore the city, and you have the weekends too. A lot of people apparently do weekend travel, which I really want to do. So I'm going to look into getting a job out there so I can, like, you know, pay for everything, because I am going to have a good amount of free time. I'm also going to have to be like writing more college essays. Super fun. But honestly, it's a lot better this time around. Now that I've had time to think about it and I've grown as a person, I know a lot more like what I want in college. So it's been a lot better looking, deciding where I want to apply to, what I'm interested in, things like that. But anyways, yeah, so it's going to be kind of a similar deal in Costa Rica, except I'm not volunteering at a hospital there. Like I said, I'm going to be at a childcare facility. Same thing though, like your participation kind of is based on how much you want to do, and then you have a lot of free time, and hopefully, again, I'll be able to get a job out there. Similar situation. And then after I'm in Costa Rica for a month, I'm going to come home for another month, and like probably like December 14th to January 14th, because I come back December 14th. I'm gonna, you know, see my friends, come back from college, see my family, probably work at my job that I had this summer to earn some more money, and then I don't really know what I'm gonna be doing in the spring, like in the second semester. I really have no idea, which is stressing me out a little bit, stressing my parents out a little bit, but I shouldn't have said it's stressing me out a little bit. I'm honestly not that stressed about it, but you know, I'll figure it out. I know that I want to go back to Barcelona because that's like my favorite place that I got to go when I was in Spain. But other than that, I don't really know. Probably definitely something similar where I don't really have to pay for all that much. Like I get room and board. Maybe even I can find a program for second semester that won't be as expensive, because hopefully I can find people that will help pay for meals and stuff. That'd be great, like programs or independent like projects, things like that. But yeah, I mean, I, in a way, kind of feel like I started my year off experience this summer, because I got like my first job. I worked at a pizza place. Essentially, I worked as a cashier, and then I started working on salads about, well, I don't want to say like a month after I started working there. So like, you know, I was like one of the people who, like, if I had a shift on salads, would like, you know, make the salads. I did not expect to have as good of an experience as I did. I really didn't. The reason I got my job was because I knew I needed to get money to start paying for myself and to pay for my year off. And it was kind of like the first place I applied to, and I didn't really expect to get a job there or to work there at all. Like it was just a very interesting sequence of events that got me there, but there I was, and I really enjoyed it. I started working there a lot, like probably like anywhere from 4 to 7 hours a day, 6 days a week. So it was kind of like what I spent most of my summer doing, that and just hanging out with friends before everyone went off to college. But I spent a lot of my summer working, and I made a lot of friends at work and, you know, earned some decent money. So I stopped working at my job like a week and a half ago now. I miss it a lot. I'm definitely gonna come back to my job. Almost definitely this coming winter, and hopefully like next summer, and like whenever I'm like living in Albuquerque. But yeah, I don't really know what else to say. I just wanted to make this video to like talk about why I decided to take a year off, why I'm not going to college quite yet, although after thinking long and hard this summer, I do ultimately want to go to college. I just wanted to make a video talking about like why I decided to wait. I decided I wanted to travel for my gap year because I knew I like to get new experiences. The idea of staying somewhere, like staying put in the same place for 4 years with kind of like the same people, not really, I know that this is just like a very simplified version of college, but like staying in the same place for 4 years, you know, being at the same school for 4 years, like doing the same thing for 4 years, it kind of like made me uncomfortable. Which is so weird. Like, I'm a person who kind of seeks out change instead of stability. So that's the reason, like, I really enjoy traveling, because I like to be new places, meet new people, see new things, eat new food, you know, speak new languages, maybe, you know, things like that. That's what makes me the happiest. So I thought, you know, why not take the year that I'm going to take off to do more of that? Like, this is probably one of the few opportunities I'll get in my life if I, you know, like stay on the track of like staying in school and going to a career and things like that. This is probably one of the few opportunities I'm gonna have to just focus on traveling and just focus on being in a new place, and not have to also focus on school and also focus on like getting an internship or getting a career or getting, you know, things like that. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Hopefully, really hopefully, I'm going to start making videos like while I'm traveling. So I just really want to document the experience, partly for me, but also because when I was trying to decide to take a gap year, it was pretty scary, because I'm someone who I watch a lot of YouTube. I'm not like big into blogs, although like I did read some articles. There are a lot of blog articles about people like taking gap years and taking time off before college. But there weren't a lot of like YouTube videos, and for me those are more personal because you see someone actually talking. There aren't a ton of people talking about like why they decided to take a gap year, or documenting like the different programs and different paths you can take on a gap year. So I thought it might be helpful to film something like this for anyone who's like feeling the same way that I did about applying to colleges and like being in high school and not being ready to take the next step. So yeah, I hope if you're feeling like that, this was helpful, and if you just like know me as a person, this was maybe interesting to see what I'm gonna be doing the next year. But yeah, talk to you guys in the next video.